Everything I do challenges the status quo of being a voiceover and the arbitrary gatekeeper rules of who can be successful and why. I do this by ignoring what the powers that be say is acceptable in marketing, in pricing, and where I choose to get my freaking work, and if I can even create my own demo or not. I show voiceover artists how to start, build, and grow a successful voiceover career. Want to learn? So the big question is this: how do voiceover artists like us who are looking to take our careers to the next level, but don't buy into the claims of needing expensive equipment and demos, start bringing in new clients? How do you follow a clear path to changing your voiceover side hustle into your full-time job and stick it to those that said you couldn't? Those are the questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Earl Hall, and welcome to In the Booth with Earl Hall, where we know how to grind and don't quit. Welcome into the show, folks. Everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and also Instagram over here where I'm looking right now. Thanks so much for joining in today to In the Booth with yours truly, Earl Hall. You guys know I talk to you voiceover artists, and what I do is show you how to start, build, and grow a successful voiceover business, which over the years I've come to see and understand, and my eyes have been opened. I've been enlightened, per se, to know that it is more than just about marketing. It's more than about strategy. It is really understanding who it is you are and literally the purpose that you have behind doing this thing that you call voiceover. You know, I talk to a bunch of people a day, whether it's via Skype, whether it's email, instant messaging, and there's a couple of things that continue to come across. And by the way, if you're on YouTube or wherever you are, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do that and go ahead and tick the notification bell so that you know every time that I go live. Over on Facebook and YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up or a love or whatever it is that you want to give, and over on YouTube as well, or excuse me, on Instagram as well over here. What I've noticed is a lot of self-limiting beliefs, hence the title. You know, why are you destroying? Why are you killing your own voiceover career? Because of the self-limiting beliefs that you have. Now, no matter what it is that you think, you know, or what you think about what it is that I'm going to talk about today, if you understand everything about marketing, if you understand everything about business development, but your mind is not right about you and who it is that you are, you're most likely going to fail. Most of the failure that's going on right now with many of the voiceover artists that I come into contact with and communicate with. Hey, what's up, Jenny Kennan? Jimmy, how you doing, buddy? Over on YouTube, there's this thing, and I somewhat struggle to kind of like just go ahead and point on it and put a pin in this thing. I talk to people all over the world. Literally, I talk to people, communicate with people all over the world. You guys know that watch me or follow me for a while or have seen me on a regular basis. You've put comments in, you've sent me email, you comment on my videos. The one thing that I always do is I comment back. I respond in some way, shape, or form, because I feel like you guys come here for a reason. And whatever that reason is, I want to make sure that I address that reason. So reading all of your comments is extremely important to me, the good, the bad, and the ugly ones, and I get them all. But 95% of them are great. So I love that part of my day where I'm going through and reading the comments. But on a more personal level, when people send me emails because they don't want to put things into comments, and you can always send me an email at voquestion@gmail.com if you want to direct communicate with me, if you want to say that. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Another day, more tools for the VO toolbox. Exactly. The thing that's been happening recently with the people that I've been consulting with and going back and forth with email or on social media instant messaging is a self-limiting beliefs on a lot of different levels. I talk to women, I talk to men, I talk to all different races, all different religions. It's across the board for me. So I've been able to take in a lot of information from VOs across the world, which is extremely valuable to me to know what it is that you guys are thinking and what it is that you believe is holding you back. A lot of the emails that I get and the communications, they talk about technical things that they feel are holding them back. You know, well, how do I use my DAW better? How do I deliver, you know, a script better? What's the best, you know, software to use? What's the best microphone for me to get? All of these things have variables in them, and it comes down to it really not meaning a hill of beans or amounting to a hill of beans if there's something wrong up here, and I don't mean your brain, I'm talking about the mind, the way that you're thinking about who you are and what it is that you do. I've gotten no less than in the past, I would say the past 30 days, a tremendous number of emails from African American males in particular. Foreigners, when I say foreigners, I'm talking about not inside the U.S., or people that have come to the U.S. now, and they come with, their culture, they come with their language, they come with their religion, and things of that nature. And all of them see those things as something that holds them back. Obviously, being, if you can tell, if you're watching, I'm African American. And when I started getting emails from African American males with the same question, and also from people from different cultures with their own same questions, something struck me that this is something that's going to hold people back. What was interesting about the emails that I would get from African American males, I didn't get this from females, I got this only from African American males. Should I put my picture on my website? Should I tell agents and clients and things of that nature that I'm African American? Should I hold that back? The reason why that struck me so much is because I had that same thought when I began over a decade ago. And maybe if you're not African American, you won't get this, but there are other examples that are coming up that you may get. But if you are African American, I think you know what I mean already. It's kind of like an intuitive thing that you probably know where I'm going with this. There's this for me, and I can speak from my own experience, and this will probably help others as well, regardless of what your experience is. But I thought, okay, I'm a big guy. I'm bald. Well, at the time I had hair. Now I'm bald. Obviously, I need to shave. And I'm African American. I've never, quote unquote, sounded like the traditional stereotypical type of African American. I have a specific type of upbringing that kind of shielded me from a lot of things. But at any rate, so when I wanted to get into business, it was one of those things that I think was a wall or a stumbling block rather, that I thought would be a negative for me. I thought that being a African American male, white people wouldn't hire me. And it's all because, I was born in 1969, so I've been around for a while. And I've seen a lot of things. And when you're an African American male in the United States of America in particular, there are some fears that I think you come with many times. Not all of us, but many of us come with certain types of fears, and we think that the color of our skin is going to be a limitation. Now, I can speak from a perspective today that was absolutely ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous to think that. But there's something in our culture, the U.S. culture, that would make an African American male or provide the environment for an African American male to think that. And it's one of the things that we have to get over. Now, I can look back again now and sitting where I'm sitting today and understanding and realizing that 98%, and I've done the math, 98% of my audience is white. Probably 99.9% of the people that I do work for are white. I communicate face-to-face a lot, whether it's Skype or whether it's going into, different studios here where I live in Wisconsin. There are going to be those challenges that come up. And the thing about some of the fears, the self-limiting fears that we have, is that most of the time they're not even valid. It's self-talk, the talk in our minds that we have. When I listen to someone from the UAE or a female with a heavy Hispanic accent, or someone from the Soviet Union or in that area of the world, ask me, how do I get more work in the U.S.? Should I take speech classes to help with my accent or things of that nature? And I was so glad that I didn't start getting these questions until I began to, or actually until I overcame my own self-limiting beliefs that I had about being a voiceover and doing the things that I do in the public realm, in the public eye. Your voice is out there. I mean, it's hard enough knowing that you're going into an audition and you're competing against someone or a couple of people or more than a few people in many cases, and wondering if you're good enough. There's not a lot of feedback that comes from being a voiceover artist when you don't get the job. The only feedback you get is when you get the job. Hey, we loved your voice. We loved how you did that. When you don't get the job, no one says anything. You don't get an email. You don't get a, hey, sorry, but you get none of that. You just didn't get the work. And so what happens is your voice in your head starts speaking. Well, I must not have been good enough. Oh, it was probably because I was black. Oh, well, I'm a woman and, I'm from the Soviet Union, or, well, I wasn't born in this country and, so they'd rather have somebody, all of these things, my microphone probably isn't, good enough. I should probably spend another $1,000 on a mic, or, maybe I need to spend another $5,000, maybe I need, another $2,500 on a better demo or something like that. All of these things cause us to have certain negative types of thoughts, and then we go into this mode of trying to appease something or someone that really has no negative thought about you. You just didn't get the job. And so the big piece of advice that I have given across the board, and maybe there's some of you that are listening right now that I've given this advice to, especially if you're not from the United States, or you have a heavy accent because you haven't been in the country that long, or you've been here forever, but you're from somewhere else and you live in a family that has a certain type of speech pattern or whatever. So when I talk to people, and you can hear it in the tone, you can hear the hurt, you can hear the pain in their tone, because for whatever reason, that self-limiting belief. Oh, thanks, Joe. Joe's over on Instagram saying he's loving my new mic. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, Joe. Hey, Ryan, what's going on, man? Did I speak to you already? I think I did. But you can see the turmoil. You can hear and see the pain. This is one of the reasons why I only do consultations via Skype video. I don't do consultations without being able to see the person. And if you've ever spoke to me, you know that I say everyone has a BS detector, and I have one, and you have one. And so when we see each other face to face, that BS detector will click on when you detect any sort of BS. And I need that because I need to know that you're telling me the truth and that we're being open and honest with one another about what's actually going on. And you need to be able to see me for the same reasons. Now, the pain and hurt that I sense when I talk to these people that have certain negative beliefs about themselves or about their skills or about whatever, and it's most normally heavily centered around, most of the time, around something to do with ethnicity or speech. And they think that there's something wrong with them. And I listen because people need to be heard. And then after I listen, the thing that I share with them seems to open their eyes and allows them to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You see, the thing that we constitute as a flaw or something that is going to hold us back. Good morning, Handy. How you doing? That thing that you think is your flaw, or that thing that is going to hold you back, is probably the thing that is going to be the reason for your biggest success. You've heard me vaguely mention this book that I've read. Talks about blue oceans, and it's a marketing book, and it talks about basically red oceans and blue oceans. Red oceans are where everyone is. It's where everyone is feeding. The sharks are all there. So the ocean is red. And most voiceover artists want to build a business in a red ocean. It's impossible. It's too many there. What needs to be discovered is your blue ocean. What is that thing that makes you special? What is that thing that no one else has other than you. And this is why on yesterday when I talked about, I started talking about these things. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know your why, I talked about your why yesterday. I've gotten such a tremendous response from yesterday's live stream. Thank you guys so much. It's amazing. I love your comments. I love your energy and everything else. Until you discover who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, no one else is going to care. You are a commodity. Everyone that does voiceover wants to be everything to everyone. It's impossible. You need to figure out who you are and why you do what you do. Talked about yesterday Simon Sinek and his TED Talk, talking about people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. I express my why at the beginning of every video. It's the commercial that plays before the countdown clock. So if you've never seen that commercial before the countdown clock plays, you might want to take a look at that. It explains my why. It explains why I do what I do every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It explains my why. What is your why? Now, the point of all of this being that thing that you think is the limiting thing, that thing that you think is holding you back, or the excuse that you're giving yourself for not succeeding or moving forward, once again, is that thing that is probably going to be your best friend. Totally serious when I say that. When I have spoken with Chris is one of the guys, and I'm sure he won't mind me talking about this. He's from Poland, and he's one of the members of my private group, my private training group that I have called VoiceOver Fast Track. There's a link to it probably somewhere down in the description or above on Facebook or whatever. I remember the conversation that I had with him. Chris identified himself early on, months ago, as my biggest fan. And when I'd never had anyone say that to me before, so it was kind of weird. You guys see me in a certain light that I don't see myself. You see me every day on screen, and there's I understand that there's a certain type of maybe celebrity or something like that people get when either I call them on the phone or whatever. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you called me or whatever. But anyway, Chris is like, Earl, you're my biggest friend, my biggest fan. And so we start talking, and he was concerned because he has a thick Polish accent. Can't get around it. And so he was asking about getting more work and things of that nature. And so I was asking, certain questions that I needed answers to. Where are you trying to get work? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and his demo and everything was in an attempt to get work in the U.S. market, which is there for his vocal style. It's there. It's just you have to find it. And so I said, look, Chris, instead of concentrating on your weakness, which is English being your second language, not your first, why wouldn't you concentrate on your strength? And you were saying, well, there's more work. I said, no. Forget your weakness. Double down on your strength. The language you speak is a strength. Okay, if you want to go in the U.S. market, that means you're going to have to discover the people that want what you have. Good morning, Claudia. Thanks for coming in on YouTube. Portugal. Lovely. Instead of worrying about whether your English is good enough, you mean to tell me that there's no video production companies in Poland? There's no e-learning companies that are in Poland. There's no language translation companies in Poland. There's no audiobooks in Poland. There are no commercials on television in Poland. There's no radio in Poland that has commercials. It's like, okay, why are you ignoring, and this is for all of you, why would you ignore everything that's around you and try and focus in on something that is it's not low-hanging fruit? Whether you live in Portugal, like Claudia, and you speak Portuguese, potentially, I guess you speak Portuguese, and you may have a thick Portuguese accent. I'm using you, Claudia, because you just came in and you said you're from Portugal. So where you are in the world, there's a market for voiceover. no matter what your language, no matter what your accent. Sure, I understand maybe a reason why you'd want to go for an American market, which there still yet is an American market. On freelance sites everywhere like Upwork and Fiverr, I see them all the time. People wanting people that speak Yiddish or, I mean, languages I've never even heard of before. All it takes is looking. Everywhere around you, wherever you are right now in life, wherever you live in the world, that you have the ability to see and hear me right now, it means you have the potential to touch and reach anyone, anywhere, anytime, because of the technology that all of us have access to, right where you are. Don't concentrate and focus in on what you think is holding you back or a stumbling block. That language that you speak, that accent that you have, is your golden ticket. It is. On a not so high level note here, or I'm not really sure of the word to use, when I was talking about my own self-limiting belief, and that the one that I hear so many times from other African-American males that are breaking into or trying to break into voiceover is, should I put my picture on my website? Is that going to be, am I going to get negative? Is that going to be a negative because I'm African American and I put my picture? And it was a stumbling block I had to get over when I started over a decade ago. Well, I had a really big opportunity where I live here in Wisconsin, and I'll share this with you, and it's kind of personal, but it's really big opportunity, and it's been a huge opportunity. And I had to learn how to look at it from a different perspective than what I maybe would have normally looked at it. You guys may remember, if you've been following me for at least since May, back in June, I got this job here in Wisconsin through an agent. And I didn't understand initially why I got the job, but it came to be very, very clear after I got the job why I got the job. They were looking specifically for an African American to do something. It was one of the requirements for this particular client. So when I was hired, the studio that hired me had to search for an African American male and an African American female. It was a two-part. I did the longest part, which was a character voice, and the African American female wound it up, wrapped it up with another script. And so after the session was over, the engineer and the representative from the agency that hired me was there, and also he was one and the same. He was the script writer as well. And so I come out of the booth, and they're like, "Where have you been? Why has no one heard of you? Where, And I'm like, been right here." And they were commenting on my technique in the booth, and how easy it was to work with me, and that's really a big thing. How well you take direction, especially if you go into someone else's booth, or if you're being directed over like a Skype session or through like something like a Source Connect or ISDN line. You want to be coachable, is what I say. You want to be easy to work with. And so I am, and I was, and they were impressed with all of that and how quickly I just got things and ran with it. And then it came to light that the reason that I got the job was because they needed an African American male voice for this. And in the city that I live, what came out through all of this conversation is that they can never find African American talent in the city that I live. So, like, okay, wow. And they say they always have to go down, to Chicago if they want to get an African American voiceover artist to do the work. So with that being said, they started giving me names of other agents, which, by the way, I just got another job from another agent based on doing that job. I just wrapped that job up last night or yesterday morning. That was the thing I did yesterday morning. Very, very good job that I got from another agent here in the city that I live in, Wisconsin. So I open up the script to do this, and it's an African American guy. They need an African American guy to do this. So I've had to settle in my mind over the course of the last month or two that where I live, only because of what's been happening, I'm going to get all of the African American jobs sent to me. And nothing but, mind you. I've never gotten any other script other than one that says African American needed, or you can see it in the what's there. But you know what? I'll take the check. I'll take the check. Now, I could look at that as a negative and say, well, they're not sending me any work, that is not African American and whatever. Okay, I still get a check. There's certain cultures around the country that are just different. Where I live in Wisconsin is different from the East Coast. It's just different. I was born in Virginia, raised in Reisterstown, Maryland, which is in Baltimore County, right outside of Baltimore City. It's different here than it is there. Wherever it is that you are, it's different from everywhere else. If you've never traveled the world, if you've never gone outside of where you live, many of us think that's it. But there is more. And because we have access to the internet, and because we have access to reach and touch just about anybody that we want at any level, no one is the gatekeeper for us anymore. No one. The only thing that stands in your way, the only thing that will ever have the ability to stand in your way is you and what you believe about yourself. That's it. If you believe that voiceover is the thing that you were meant to do, go after it, and you need to go after it like nothing you've ever done before. You need to work harder. You need to lose sleep. You need to lose sustenance, because you're working as hard as you are, or as hard as you should, to build what you say that you want to grow. Don't allow your own thoughts that may not even be warranted. Our minds speak negatively for whatever reason. It's the most prevalent thing that it speaks to us is negativity. Go beyond that and understand you're better than you know you are. You're better than what you tell yourself. What you tell yourself is what you will be. The self-speak that you listen to is going to drive and dictate your life. Not saying that you can even change the self-speak. There's new things that we learn every day. And if you are a person that has negative thoughts all the time and are almost controlled or consumed by them, and nothing is ever good enough, or you complain about everything, or nothing ever goes right. Have you ever been around those people? Hopefully you're not one. When you want to learn a new skill, it's not like the negative voices will ever turn off. And if people tell you through meditation you can turn off the negative voices and blah, 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 the negative voices will always be there because they've been there for so long within you. When your brain makes pathways all the time. Just like there's a pathway for you to raise your right hand. If I say raise your right hand, you can do it. This is my right hand, even though it's probably on the left of the screen. This is my right hand. If I tell you to say to yourself, you don't raise your right hand, don't raise your right hand, don't raise your right hand, and at the same time, raise your right hand, you will. You can tell yourself, don't raise your right hand, don't raise your right hand. It means you can ignore the talk. But the thing is, the talk has gone on for so long, there's neural pathways that have been made, blah, blah, blah. Those neural pathways don't disappear, but what happens is that your mind will make new ones. Your mind will make new pathways. And those are the pathways you have to start using so that the other ones become less prevalent. Not that they go away, you just don't use them as much because you've made new pathways. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Any comments or anything? I'm about to wrap this up. If you have a comment or a question, I would love to hear or see that right now. With that, we've got, let's see, ETA is on with us this morning. I think I can relate to what your topic is because I'm explaining aviation vocabulary in Spanish from English. Awesome. Jason says, hi, Earl. Ironically, I sent my narration demo into a very important person the other day. He commented that I need to lose my regional accent. I didn't even know I had. Maybe I don't. Well, everything is, everyone has an opinion. whatever, I would ask, well, he said regional accent, so you don't have to ask what region of the country do you live in, so you know what accent that is. You know, there are regional accents. You know, there's a Midwestern accent, there's a Southern accent, there's a Northeastern accent, there's a Western accent. All of that is there. And wherever it is that we grow up, we have those certain types of speech patterns. Ironically enough, I'm from the country. My family, every last one of them lives in Virginia. We moved to Maryland when I was about 11 years old, and I was there until I went into the military at the age of 17 after I graduated high school. When I first moved to Maryland, I was made fun of tremendously because of my Southern accent. And I don't know, consciously or whatever, if I just dropped it, it'll come back. Believe me, when I go home, back to the East Coast, back to Virginia, I get around my parents, my sibling, my cousins, things come out in my voice that don't generally come out because I don't use it. I've developed new pathways in my mind on speech and everything else. But ironically, when I'm speaking to someone, and this happens to, and I wondered about this when I was, in my teens and early 20s. When I was in the military, I was stationed in Guam, was my first duty assignment. And I noticed that when I was there, I started speaking like them. I was only there 2.5 years. I started speaking with their speech patterns. When I speak to someone for a long time here, where I am, people that I see every day, there are friends that I have with Jamaican accents, and when I start talking to them, I start talking like this, and it's funny. It's like I mimic. For whatever reason, there's something in me that mimics who I'm around with their speech patterns. If I'm around you long enough, it'll come out, especially if we become friends. And, so I can do a Jamaican accent only because I talk to them all the time. Certain things just come out. But who you grow up with and who you're around all the time, that develops your speech pattern. And so whatever that is, it's still a strength. You just have to find the work that will help accent those strengths. Or basically, that's your super fuel. What you consider to be your weakness, believe me, there's work out there for that. You can rock it. You can be a rock star with the accent, the language, everything it is that you have, as long as you stop looking for things that don't complement that. When you start and focus in on those things that complement what you have and who you are, you will change your life. Stop beating your head against a brick wall trying to get work that is not for you. It is not for your strengths. There are things I cannot do in voiceover. I don't look at them. I go for my strengths. Go for yours, please. All right. Sierra says, just completed my first radio recording Saturday. I'm waiting for it to be produced now. Thanks for all your encouragement, Earl. Good luck, Sierra. I'm glad for you with that. Marilyn says, great info. Thank you, Earl. This is over on Facebook and Steps to Voiceover Success. Sandy Chamberlain says, yay, Virginia. I initially purchased in Ashburn, Virginia, then sold and repurchased out in Winchester, Virginia. Daughter lives in Chantilly. Okay. I still hold a very strong Aussie accent, despite living Aussie abroad 16 years. People are looking for your accent, Sandy. People are looking for your accent. Let's see here. So go for that. I see stuff on Fiverr, on Upwork all the time for Aussie accents. All the time. There's this thing in our brain called a reticular activator. And what that is, if you don't know, it's that thing, how when you buy a new car and then all of a sudden you see that car everywhere? All of us have probably experienced that, especially with the car. So it's the most relevant thing I can use to describe what a reticular activator is. The part of our brain. It looks for the familiar. That's what it does. So when you buy a new car and you're always in it, your brain seeks that out. Your brain actually causes you to realize that it's there. When you start looking for things that are within your strength, your mind will bring things to your attention that it normally wouldn't, because that's the thing you're focused on. That's the level you have to get to with that. Okay. that with that. Let me go back here and see if there's any more comments before I wrap it up or any more questions with that. All right. And let's go back over here to YouTube, and no comments on Instagram. So that is cool. Check out YouTube. Hubert, thanks so much. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Hubert, that's an outstanding point. Hubert over on YouTube says, I wonder if anybody told Sam Elliott to lose his accent. That is one of the best voiceover artists that kills it when it comes to utilizing his strength, which is a complete Southern accent, deep Southern accent. And he owns it. He owns it. And he's able to deliver those scripts. Excellent point, Hubert. Thank you for bringing that up over on YouTube. Look, you guys have been awesome today. Thank you so much for being here. And just for your support, it means so much to me, the support that I get from you. It really, really does. I do this Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I love doing this. This is a big part of my sustenance, my oxygen. It's my reason for being. I love being here with you guys, and I definitely appreciate you. Please leave me your comments in the comments section. Please, if it's available, give this video a thumbs up if it meant something to you. If it meant even more to you, please share it somewhere online that you are. And follow, subscribe, whatever. If you are on YouTube, which is my main home base at youtube.com/Earl Hall Studio, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Make sure that you do tick the bell to make sure that you are instantly notified when I go live. Let me just check one more thing here to make sure. Okie doke. All right, guys. Thanks for being here today, and I will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook. You guys have an awesome Tuesday. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You take care.